let's just jump into like, there's two steps to doing this, and the first is building the business. And as I said, I'm just going to run down things because you can go through my videos in my playlist and see exactly how to do most of this. But you're going to build a business, and then the second part is marketing. And with like little practice and little effort, you can actually get good at this. So this Pro Pause Academy, this is just a template I have created. So any business that I want to create, I just plug it in. It's really quite simple. The thing is, like, you get to a point after making so many landing pages that there are just certain things that you have to hit and certain things you look for that a template just makes sense. You just get it done that much quicker. So I can build a business very fast. I know how to do that. I'm going to show, again, this is a rundown of everything. And then 2 is marketing, and we're going to get to that after building the business. So building a business, what I teach members in the blueprint, and I guide them through this process, it's like a 6-step method, and I've pretty much simplified how to create an online business into these 6 steps. And I would say 4 out of these 6 steps can be done in a day. The other 2, so step number 5 is building the digital product, and we're going to get to that when we get to that. But depending on what your product is, this is why, going back to what I said, I think the best online business is for beginners to make, so they understand how this process works, is a community and a membership. A community because you can create that in an hour. It's simply a forum and a portal that people click and log into, and then they're in this chat in this community. And the other would be a membership type online business, essentially. So people pay $5 to however much a month, $50 a month, and they're just getting information like a video tutorial every week or whatever. If you click right here, I built a membership business based around magic tricks, so they see your magic trick on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube or whatever, and then they become a member and they get, a video explaining how to do it. But one thing that I've realized, this is just interesting off topic, is like every online business is just selling information. That's all it is. And it's just how you're getting that information changes the product. So again, let's just get into it. So the first step is like finding what you love, essentially, but it doesn't have to be. You can actually it's finding the niche that you're going to go into. Again, you're going to learn the process of how to build a business. So all you're doing is finding the niche and an expert, or you are an expert. Obviously, being an expert in the subject is going to help you create content and just understand the business better, but you don't have to. So it's finding something that you want to build a business in. If it's not something you love or not something you're interested in, it's going to make it harder, but you could actually look at the market itself or just have an idea like, why is there not a notable pet grooming course that I've seen? Or maybe there is. Let me do some research. A lot of research is involved with finding holes and gaps in a market that you can exploit. So that's the first step. The second is finding a business name. Very simple. I just go to ChatGPT and I ask, give me 20 business names for an online course that teaches pet grooming. And what I had was, Pro Pause Academy. ChatGPT gave me that, and I like that name. So 2, business name. Number 3 is forming an LLC. And, this is the main thing about online businesses, is why this is actually important. So I've had many businesses in my life, like a cleaning business, where you're selling the service of cleaning, but it's a physical business. Something like that, you don't technically need to create an LLC. You just could get liability insurance. But for an online business, an LLC is very important because of traffic. If you're getting, it's not like a cafe where you're getting 30 people come in and buy a latte, you're getting thousands of people visiting your website every week. That with the amount of traffic you're getting, it increases the risk involved. And an LLC is like the simplest way to protect yourself and separate your personal life from this LLC you've created. So that's going to be the third step. Again, guys, I go through each one of these in detail in that playlist, in that card I showed earlier. So I show you how to make an LLC, more about the business name, and more about finding a niche. Fourth step is just creating a business bank account. So after you create your LLC, you're going to get an EIN number, and this is just a tax identification number for your business. And you're also going to get articles of organization or operation, one of the two, and you're going to take those two forms and then take them to any bank you go to, and they're going to create a business bank account for you. It's not like, it's a very important step. You have to do it to form your business, but it's really simple. Everything, all of these, as I said, steps 1 through 4, you could do in a day. It's very simple stuff. So step 5, as I mentioned earlier, is a digital product. In this case, it's like, for this example, it would be filming a dog grooming course. And the way to do that, again, if you are a dog groomer, you know exactly what you need to do. If you're not, the expert, the dog groomer in this case, you meet with them and you figure out a plan for this course. Obviously start off with something like, the behavior of dogs, and then the tools, the scissors, and cutting paws on a small dog, whatever, however you do it. But in this case, it would be a course, which could take you about a couple weeks to film and edit if you were really going at it. But let's just say a month, if you're not experienced with this stuff at all. I also have to say there are skills that one learns, building a landing page. You may have never done that before. Doing any video editing, you've never done that before. So if you can just imagine your life like 8 months from now, learning all these skills and then making $20,000 a month, like, is the work involved worth 8 months from now changing your life? My answer would be obviously, but that's up to you. If you're new to this and you don't want to put in any work to make money, this is not the video for you. I don't think there is a video for you except for motivational content, and you can go watch that. So step 6 is then building the website. Now, steps 1 through 4 are pretty much the steps for any business that you build, digital or not. Steps 5 and 6 change depending on the business, right? So as I said, a community or a membership where they're getting like weekly tutorials or something like that, there is no digital product, actually. It's the community, but that takes an hour. And then a membership with like weekly tutorials, you only start filming and releasing those when you get a client, when you get your first customer, right? So as I said at the beginning, like 99% of courses suck and they take your money because you need someone to guide you and answer problems for you. So usually you get a course, sucks, and then you're like emailing questions or whatever, and you never find an answer. That's why courses suck, and that's why I said it's always best if you integrate elements of other online businesses like a community as a back end. So why 5 and 6 can change depending on the business that you're going into is that if you're doing a course with the back end community, you want both of these things to be the back end of your website. So like a login in a portal, if people go in. Again, I'm not doing this to pitch my business. It's just like an example. So this is my business, and people log in, and they log in with a username and a password. And then all of my course material and my resources in the community and live streams. That's all once you log in the back end. So with that said, it's going to change your website. So like a course could theoretically be people get access to a Google Drive folder, a private Google Drive folder where they can download all the course material. So a course wouldn't, and a login wouldn't be the back end of your website. And that's why 5 and 6 are really going to change and be dependent on what your digital product is and what your service is. So something like Master the Art of Dog Grooming, I would add a community into it, again, because you're creating value and you're helping people with this process, something that it would require more of a hands-on teaching, like what I'm going through now. So most make money online courses, again, you need a community for something like that. You would need someone, an expert, to mentor you. So Master the Art of Dog Grooming, I would put a back-end community, and because I'm going to do a back-end community for it, I put the course in that too. So I'd add like a login and a portal to it. I just think that makes more value than like a shared folder people can download from. So those are the 6 steps to build an online business. So if you did 1 through 4, you could get those things done in a day. And if you were to do something like a community or a membership, you can do a community in an hour, or you don't even start the membership until people buy. And if you've done what I've done, and you can create like a template you can use for multiple businesses, then the website can be done in a matter of hours as well. And we're going to go through the website real quick. I just want to hit on some points that a landing page needs in order to work. So let's just do that now, I suppose. So if you just look at this landing page, this would be the first section, section 1. It's like the cover of the book, and if you go back through my playlist, I go through all of this in even more detail, but you should be able to know exactly what it is that you're selling immediately when you see this landing page. It needs to be clear, and it doesn't have to be extremely clear, because when you get into the marketing, like 90% of the people that visit this site, they already know what it is that they're coming to see, but you still want to make it as clear as possible so like a 5th grader understands it. So Master the Art of Dog Grooming, no experience needed, 100% online. Very simple, picture of a woman, grooming a dog. Start my learning. Pretty interesting thing about a call to action button, this word my or me, it goes a long way. That's how we think as people. We're just like selfish. So start my learning. If you add that word my, it adds a little more, creates more incentive for people to click. Right below that should be some reviews. Google Business Review, ask some friends and family, if you can give them free membership or, teach them whatever, and start getting reviews by people because having 50 reviews is a lot better than having none. And then, as I mentioned earlier, to build this into like a $75,000 a month online business, you would end up having to get these like official certifications. Another important thing here is email and phone number. I have mixed feelings about this. I think it depends on what your product is. If it's a high ticket online product, like $500 and up, I always think it's really good to get an email. I would say like $250 and up. It's really good to get an email and a phone number in the process of people checking out. This way you can retarget them through email marketing, which is, in my experience, the best online business marketing available, because it shows people that have taken action, and you can retarget them, and they've already started the process. They're really hot as far as customers, and It's just easier to sell to them. It's free. So I always think it's best to get their email and phone number in the process of checking out. So that's just like one section. And then essentially all a website is testimonials or reviews, benefits, and that's about it, to be honest with you, aside from hitting really good on this opening. So it would be testimonials here, and the design for an online business is infinite, but I would recommend studying the businesses you want to become, So there's like a personal training. Let me see if I can find it. It's like a personal training certification, right? And their valuation is $500 million. So they're worth $500 million. Essentially, it's an online business. So they used to have multiple. Oh, that's not it. This business. So their landing page, it's pretty simple. Some animation. I think they changed it actually. But yeah, this is a $500 million company. So they don't have anything that says buy now or anything like this. They're trying to get your email and your name so you can sign up. Yeah. So look at businesses, study them, and then go from there. But just to get into the difference between like a benefit and a feature, what a benefit is how it benefits someone's life. So you wouldn't market your course like, 50 plus hours of content and, fast download time or, reliable servers on our end. You wouldn't, that doesn't really benefit someone's life. Why would someone want to be a pet groomer, for example, is, freedom. You can work for yourself, which goes back to freedom. That's like the main benefit. Ironically enough, I do think some personal pet groomers make upwards of $80K a year from working for themselves grooming dogs, so they do pretty good. But again, this would be like a benefit is freedom. You could also say $80,000, top groomers making between 80 and 100, whatever it is, do your research. But, these would actually be the benefits. Some other things to point out, you should really look into privacy policy and terms and conditions. Again, if you go back through my playlists, I go over all of that in detail. I go over all of it. So once you get through those things, that's like step one. That's building your business. And then number two is going to be marketing. Now, I just recommend social media, organic social media marketing. And really the way to do that is you're going to hit higher numbers with Instagram and TikTok. I think YouTube is good for like building a relationship with your clientele that's more than like 8-second to a minute clips. So for me, as an example, I'm teaching people how to build an online business. It's a somewhat complicated subject that requires a long form video. For something like dog grooming, I would do Instagram and TikTok. And I actually show in the blueprint, after 4 weeks, I was able to get a reel that generated, I think it was 392,000 views. So it's definitely doable. And that's going to equate to sales. General rule of thumb, 1 million views should really equal, and it equals about 10,000 people visiting your website. And out of these 10,000, you can pretty much guarantee between 350, let's just say 300 to 500 sales. Now, the initial people, these 10,000 out of the million views that visit your website, I would say that you might get, let's just say, between 25 and 50 sales immediately upon visit. The other 300 to 500 come later on through marketing, which would be email marketing, and then like a funnel, again, which I'll get into, targeting. So, a basic psychology of what people say is, they have to see you 8 times before they decide to buy or not. So as this is the reason why we put an email and a phone number in there, so you can target them on their phone and target them through their email. That's why it's really important, because otherwise you're getting 25 to 50 sales, you're missing out on these. So your goal, backtracking, is really getting 1 million views into these really broad hashtags. And then, 300, let's say you're selling this grooming course for $300 and you're able to generate, 300 sales every 3 months, then that comes out to be $30,000 a month. Again, if you were splitting this 70-50, I don't know, it'd be something like your cut would be something like $24,000 a month. If you didn't want to keep building the one business into like a certification type program. So that's your goal. You want to hit 1 million views. How I came up, you might be thinking, how did I come up with 10,000 out of 1 million? Well, it's just 1% out of the 1 million viewers is 10,000, and which is an extremely low conversion rate. So 10,000. If you were to even cut this in half to 5,000, which would be 0.005%, I believe. I'm not a mathematician, but then you just cut these numbers in half. So, 15,000 a month. Not that bad. Not that bad, I would say. So, when you're marketing, to get initial clients, it depends on what you're doing again, but for something like this, I would use Instagram, TikTok, X, and I would choose the broadest hashtags I possibly could, because this is going to give you the greatest chance at hitting 1 million views. And then after you get this 1% people, 10,000, go to your website, they're now in a funnel that they didn't even realize. So let me just break down like how a funnel works. And essentially you're drawing people in from the smallest amount of action that they have taken. So something like, let's say a YouTube channel, right? Someone watches your video and they like it and they subscribe, or they like a video. These are actions that people have taken, right? So like retargeting for YouTube ads, you can retarget people that watch the video for longer than 3 seconds. So the smallest amount of action actually becomes a gateway and a door into making the sale, although people don't even know it. And that's essentially all it is. So people that subscribe, then start seeing your ads. And then, people that go from your ads and then visit site. Now you're able to target them with emails if they propped up. You see how it works, but that's essentially all it is. And I don't need to go any further in depth than this. People complicate what a funnel is. It's very simple, so marketing really can be divided into paid and free. And in my experience, it's always best to kind of divide these. Free, again, would be the email marketing and text marketing. And then paid would be, something like this, running ads through Google to do this. Obviously, if you're using Instagram, it would be, Meta or Facebook Ads Manager, something like that. I never really liked Facebook ads, never had good success with it. I actually, the best success I've ever had is through trying to make reels and content that got the most views as possible. That always gets me better results than anything. So, like, to get 1 million views, again, you want to use the broadest hashtags, and you want to find these channels and find the best performing videos and simply copy them. And I will also say that being able to make good viral content can make you a millionaire. I just want to reiterate that. Having the skill to make viral content can make you $1 million. So if this takes you 7 months of your life of making reels every day, and some are going to fail and some are going to do good, if you try to improve, 7 months of your life could change your life just from that one skill alone. And then I think when you add in building the business and the digital product and understanding some fundamentals of a landing page, that's where you can really make a lot of money online. So that in a rundown is how to make an online business, easily a $10,000 a month online business. And I hope I've given you enough. Again, if you want to see more into each one of these topics, you can click that playlist at the beginning of the video and it's going to take you to all of my content. Anyway, I hope you liked this video. I hope you found it informative. Please like, subscribe. Have a good day. Bye-bye.